Who's supporting Alternative for Deutschland or AfD? And why do they back a party said to be anti-refugee and anti-Islam? We caught up with some of them at a street festival in East Berlin, just before state elections which propelled the AfD into Berlin's legislature for the first time. In some districts of the capital, over 50% of voters chose the party. They're now in 10 of Germany's 16 state parliaments.
I support AfD because I feel the politics of the traditional parties are supposedly without alternatives. The saving of the euro, the saving of Greece, the refugee crisis, all this is without alternative. But nothing is without alternative.
An alternative to mainstream politics, but also an alternative to a country changing too fast, especially when it comes to refugees and migrants.
Berlin soll wieder sauber werden.
Berlin has to become clean again. There are so many things where we've put the wrong priority. At a community level, but also at a regional level. The distribution of the refugees. Out of all those refugee centres that are being built, mainly in the east of Berlin, without consulting the citizens.
Entgegen der Absprache, also Absprache mit den Bürgern.
I wouldn't say we're Islamophobic, but we are Islam critics. Every Muslim who's living in Germany and who's practicing his religion is completely accepted. But we say that Islam as a religion is not rooted and based in Germany's culture. In Germany, there's the notion of Western Judeo-Christianism, and that's the way we want to keep it.
Yet not everyone agrees. A message made quite clear by this group of far-left protesters. For them, AfD is no alternative. It's provocative, divisive and extreme.
They yelled at us, calling us Nazis and racists. All these lies. We all together refuse this. We aren't. But they give us this label.
It's clear the AfD is drawing more and more support from Germans fed up with mainstream political parties. But it's also gained support riding on a political platform which blames refugees and migrants for draining Germany's social welfare budget. And the AfD's Frauke Petry is not without controversy. Her alleged call last winter to allow police as a last resort to open fire on refugees at the border was branded extremist.
You know, there's talk of growing success of certain far-right parties in Europe, and one of those parties is yours. You are a far-right party.
No. We often ask the question what sort of political party we are. Look at people voting for us. We've lots of conservative and liberal people joining us. So I think we get support from all sort of corners of the political spectrum. To put us into a right corner is something that's quite known in Germany, because putting someone there will help demonize him. And they tried that with my person, they tried it with the party many times, but I think people are willing and capable to wake up to understand what's going on.
Understanding what's going on. The Alternative for Deutschland was born as an anti-Euro movement in 2013 at the height of the Greek bailout crisis. But it was last year's refugee crisis which helped propel AfD into the political spotlight. While other EU states closed their borders, Germany opened its doors to an estimated 1.1 million refugees. Chancellor Merkel stood by her decision, saying there was no alternative.
What we're experiencing now is something that will occupy and change our country in the coming years. We want this change to be positive, and we can accomplish that.
Christa Senberg volunteers at a refugee center near her home in Brandenburg. It's an area where refugees are few in number, but the fear is great. A fear stoked when it got out that the government will spend over 90 billion euros in support over the next 5 years.
The AfD is using the refugees to convince the socially disadvantaged people that their situation would be much better without the refugees. For me, it's not a surprise. We always warned that in German society, something had to change. If not, someone would come along and grab all these people. And that's what happened. It's the wrong person who came and took all those unsatisfied people.
Mohammed Taha Sabri is an imam in Berlin who came from Tunisia escaping the dictatorship under Ben Ali. He says his community is well integrated, but worries that the AfD's position on Islam as the so-called enemy of German culture could worsen tensions. And when he offered to political parties a roundtable dialogue, there was one no-show, the AfD.
At the last moment, they declined, pretending that our mosque was not a neutral place for dialogue, and that they would be ready to talk, but at a neutral place with Muslims.
With the AfD's growing presence in state parliaments, it's widely expected to enter the Bundestag in next year's general elections. But can it continue to use fear, fear of change, fear of losing sovereignty, among others, as a main political tool?
Part of the reason for your growing popularity is that, you're also creating the support through a fear factor.
Yeah. Well, first of all, look at the driving forces of humanity. What are the driving forces? One is fear. And to pretend that politics lives without fear, lives without the feeling that you basically evolve in people is, again, not really honest. So that's one fact. On the other hand, to all those people who tell us that we frighten people, I normally answer, look at the problems that are there. Look at the Euro crisis, look at the migration crisis. Where are the reasons, where are the causes for these crises? Did we sort of make the problem, or did we simply start to talk about the problem? Is the problem going away from not talking about it? No, it's not.